My name is Adeshola Komalafe, and I'm the Chief Executive of Media Insight. And perhaps for the purpose of this media dialogue, I should mention that I'm also the founder of Oak TV. I know that would come as a surprise to many of my colleagues on the platform today. Our media colleagues from the broadcast industry, print, and online space, thank you very much for joining. And I think it's important to mention that we have quite a number of people from the Nigerian Union of Journalists and then the Nigerian Association of Women Journalists. We're glad to have you here. And it's important to say that the number of people that have joined us today for this particular dialogue is quite impressive. We have, just before we started, we had over 50 people who were looking for how to join. And unfortunately, the portal had closed, but thank you very, very much. I need to also mention that the program is being recorded, and we hope you're comfortable with that. And the reason why we're gathered here today is because Nigeria matters. A country of over 200 million people has huge significance, and that is in the abstract. In the concrete sense, and according to the World Population Review, 1 out of every 43 people in the world call Nigeria their home. By strength of our number, Nigeria matters. 2, Nigeria matters because of the sheer number of our diversity. When you look at ethnic, religious, and generational diversity of this country, you'll see that it can become a power force if we're managed. Why does the media matter in all this? In this 1 month, every year, we gather to remind ourselves of the central role that women can play in the development of not only the families and communities, but also of nations. In this 1 month, Women International Month, we're reminding ourselves that something that looks so ordinary continues not to be so. We can blame it on our ignorance. We can blame it on other issues, but experts have drawn a link, helping us to understand that this is because of power relations. So the fundamental question is, do people really understand the values that women bring to development? And for me, the answer is no. That is why we worry, right? But not in a negative sense. But that is why we come together every year, once in a year, to hammer the message of women with deliberate focus on different themes. And based on this, we should give coherence, value, and prominence to issues that concern women. And that is why we need the media. My colleagues in the industry, early this month, I saw the cover page of Business Day newspaper, and it struck me because the paper was trying to highlight stories around innovation, and they had 6 illustrations of innovators in Nigeria, and 5 of them were men, and they had only 1 female. Only 1 female of all the female innovators that we have in Nigeria. Come on, The media needs to own and take possession of all these gender imperatives because it is the media's responsibility to promote equality, diversity, and inclusion, and to help a specific target audience to learn. And we have 3 examples of young women here with us today who are part of our panel. And you will get to hear them, you will get to meet them and hear their stories. Young Nigerian women whose life and work focuses on different sectors like health, climate-related issues, youth development, and innovation. But before we meet them, I would like us to hear from the organization that has created this opportunity, the organization that has created this platform for for us to have this meeting today. And it might interest you to know that this is not just going to happen in Nigeria. This media dialogue is going to happen in South Africa and in Kenya. And it's not just going to happen once. It's going to be a consistent thing that would help this organization that you will hear about shortly to build a very strong relationship with the media and also help the media understand what innovation is all about and how to also work, how to also use media space for women. Not to take much of our time, I'd like to introduce the person who is going to tell us about this organization, and her name is Sophie West, and she's the Africa Regional Lead, Innovate UK KTN. Sophie, over to you.
Thank you very much, Adeshola. I'll just wait for the slides to come up, but whilst I do, thank you ever so much all for your time and your support today with the very first of these dialogue series, and I'm really delighted to be here and have everyone join. So I thought first it would be helpful just to give a brief overview of who we are as KTN, and then I'll hand over to my colleagues as well. So as KTN, we're the UK's innovation network and soon to be part of the Innovate UK family formally. We as KTN have really strong commitments to drive positive change, both in the UK and globally as well. We have a commitment by 2025, we will encourage collaboration globally to create valuable international connections for innovators. We extend our activity beyond pure economic prosperity to also really focus on societal and environmental benefits. Our ambition is to create a network so powerful that it can really change the world and drive positive change. As part of the KTN Global Alliance Africa, part of KTN, sorry, we are a truly cross-cutting organisation and work across about 20 key economic sectors in the UK. As mentioned on this call previously, we have a number of cross-cutting programmes, such as the Global Innovation work to support the global innovation ecosystems. We in the UK have a network of about 45,000 unique organisations, and about 80% of these are SMEs, with approximately 230,000 innovators in our network. As KTN at the moment, we currently work across about 30 different countries with a number of our programmes. But what I'd like to briefly talk to you today about is the Global Alliance Africa project. Sorry, perhaps I'll just skip on to the next slide if that's all right, Tara. Thank you. So as I'm sure many of you may have been aware, in 2019, the then UK Prime Minister Theresa May travelled to Kenya, Nigeria and South Africa to announce a shift in approach in the UK's age agenda. I'm sure many of you will have remembered her from the dancing that she did around the countries, but one of the key messages of her trip was to announce a shift in the agenda more towards a focus on how as the UK driving our entrepreneurship, technology and science science can support with the principles around the development, official development assistance, and really looking at how our STI portfolios can really support to boost jobs and create prosperity. So out of that programme is born the Global Alliance Africa project that we have as KTN. We've been running since 2019 as a project, and at present we have 5 core interventions within Kenya, Nigeria and South Africa. And it's really looking at how that KTN model in the UK, how we could almost support by working in partnership to strengthen the innovation ecosystems across the 3 countries. So within Nigeria at the moment, we have 4 different interventions, one focused in on strengthening the investment pipeline, one looking at open innovation using some of our innovation exchange models, one looking at innovation governance for knowledge exchange and how perhaps through the likes of the comments and partnerships, we can look at how the innovation policy environment stands. And then finally, place-based innovation, really focusing on how to support and drive innovation success in secondary cities. And as part of our panel today, we bring 2 of our fantastic advisory board from our equity state and place-based innovation initiatives to talk to you today. I thought I'd just give a very brief overview of what we've been doing recently as well as the project in Nigeria. So as mentioned, we're working in equity state focused around place-based innovation, and we've worked collectively with the stakeholders in equity to produce an innovation action plan, which states 10 key action points to support, drive innovation and achieve the ambition for equity to be the beacon of knowledge and innovation in Nigeria. We've also held a number of open innovation challenges, so really looking at how we can support as KTN, provide a platform for innovative solutions to challenges that are in the industry levels. And we've also conducted a review of innovation governance and knowledge exchange in Nigeria. So I think I'll stop there as a brief overview of our project. We'll share links as well to the project pages in the chat, so you can learn more about the project. But for now, I'll hand over to my colleague, Rachel Abrike, who is the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Programme Lead at Innovate UK. So Rachel, over to you.
Oh, thank you, Sophia. And warm welcome to everyone that has joined the call again. I'm Nigerian myself, so it's been so fantastic to see all the names in the chat. Very quickly, I just wanted to tell you a bit more about the work that we're doing at Innovate UK and with our partner Innovate UK, KTN. So I'll just give you a very quick overview. And I really like the opening that we have from Adeshola. That was really fantastic. Indeed, diversity and inclusion and the support to innovators is crucial. And in terms of the work that we do at Innovate UK, we are committed to diversity and inclusion. And we do this by two main arms. So the first arm of our work stream is embedding. And essentially in all that we do, whether it's our systems, our processes, we ensure that we embed equality, diversity, and inclusion. And then the second arm of work, or the second aspect, is on our targeted activity. And this is really to address underrepresentation in business innovation. And I'll just go more into detail because this is the area of work that I look after. So I look after our targeted program. So the first one I wanted to share with you is the introduction to our Young Innovators program. So we did a research in 2017 where we found that 2 in 5 young people surveyed, they had ideas and they wanted to do products, they wanted to go into businesses and services. But what they found was that 39% of young people really did not consider themselves that they would be entrepreneurs, and 54% would like to run their own companies. And what we found that 8% of the people that were surveyed would describe themselves as entrepreneurial. And as we can see, these numbers are really small. So this gave the birth in 2018 to our very first Young Innovators program. And since then, together with our partners, Innovate UK KTN and Innovate UK Edge, we have been able to support over 150 young people. And this program is really for our 18 to 30-year-olds. And across the UK, they can put in, if they have a business idea or if they have a business, they can put in an application into this program. And we support them with 5,000 grant, one-to-one coaching. And in addition to this, we provide them with living allowance. So you can see the data that I'm showing on the screen. We have been able to support over 150 young people. And the testimonial and impact of the program is enormous. From practical business support, from confidence building. Some of our young people, as the statistics showed, they come in, they just have the idea, but with careful mentoring and the support that Innovate UK KTN and Innovate UK Edge and Innovate UK, our 3 partners, provide, they're able to come out on the other end. And we also provide them with publicity, we provide them with living allowance, press coverage. So it's a fantastic opportunity that we have to support our young people in the Young Innovators program. I'd like to take us now into another program here at Innovate UK, and this is the Women in Innovation program. Again, we commissioned some research in 2016 because we found that 1 in 7 applications came from women that were coming into Innovate UK. And many of the women said that it was their gender that affected them in terms of the applications that were coming in. So the Women in Innovation program was birthed in 2016. And the program is all about shattering stereotypes and creating an innovation system that is fair, that is open and inclusive. So we support women with their innovation and with their businesses. And essentially the winner receives £50,000 cash injection, and then a targeted innovation advisor through the 12-month period and mentoring. And again, the impacts that we have seen, it's women coming out more confident, taking their business to the next level, because the aim of the competition is really to find pioneering women with innovative ideas. And so the innovation can range from digital. Essentially, the women are answering societal, environmental, and economic challenges, which is fantastic. So we want to support the women with their businesses and with their innovation. And so I've just talked very briefly on the journey, which began in 2016. And the very first year, we were able to support 15 fantastic innovations. And then the second wave, which was in 2018, we gave 9 awards tackling the biggest societal challenges. So ranging from clean growth, from future of mobility, AI, aging. Those were some of the topics that we supported. And the third wave was in 2020. In the midst of the pandemic, we're able to support 40 women across all areas of innovation and across all businesses, which was fantastic. One thing about the Women in Innovation program and the Young Innovators program is around the role model aspect. We know how important it is for you to see someone that's like you or where you want to be, and then you walk towards that. So we are using the Women Innovation program and the Young Innovators program to shatter various stereotypes and perceptions. And this is really important. So in 2018, we rolled out the Purple Plaque campaign, and this is really about giving back. So you find our innovators going back to schools, going back to the future generation, and encouraging them to come on board and that they can become innovators as well. And in the last year, just gone by, 2021, we were able to support another 38 Women in Innovation award holders, which is fantastic. And in the last few minutes, I'd just like to share with you why we do the Women Innovation Program and the Young Innovators Program. It is really about amplifying women's voices. I remember in the opening that Adeshola gave to us, it's really about pointing the spotlight and showing women innovators and showing women that are making a difference in the community, women that are role models. And here are some examples from our young innovators. So how do we spotlight? How do we amplify the voices of our women? We do this through PR and media coverage. We do this through telling stories. There is so much power in telling stories. And we do this through telling stories, which we're all used to in Nigeria. We tell stories from our generations to our generation, which is really powerful. And it's also about creating content, as we had at the beginning, and also building awareness. So this is really important as women innovators, that we amplify their voices. And finally, apart from amplifying the voices of our young innovators and women in innovation award holders, we also have dedicated campaigns and webinars. So we're really offering the opportunity to our young innovators and women innovation award holders to challenge what we all think about innovators. What does an innovator look like? What does an innovator sound like? What does an innovator appear like? So we are challenging the stereotype and essentially saying, this is a wide ecosystem. Everyone is welcome. If you have a business idea, if you have an idea, we will support you to ensure that this idea comes to fusion, and we support you to take it to the next level. So from building webinar series, debunking stereotypes, it's some of the examples that we have organized in the past for our communities. And so the two programs that I've just shared with you, the Young Innovator and the Women Innovation Program, are just some of the examples that we are debunking stereotypes that we're using to address underrepresentation by working with our partners, Innovate UK, KTN, and Innovate UK Edge, to address underrepresentation in the innovation ecosystem. It's really been a fantastic opportunity to share these two programs with you. And once again, I'd like to welcome everyone on the call today. Thank you so much. And it's Rachel.
Thank you very much, Rachel. And I'd like to hand over to our panel moderator, Celine. Celine, over to you. Celine is the project manager, Equality, Diversity and Inclusion at the Innovate UK KTN.
Thank you so much, Adeshola, and Hi, everyone. It's so good to be here and so good to meet you all. I am delighted to be here. I've just been introduced, so I work for Innovate KTN alongside Rachel. I look after our Young Innovators program. I'm also the founder of Be Beyond Borders, the host of a talk show called The Inclusion Conversation, and the author of 4 books around belonging, identity, and the meaning of home. So this is me, but this is enough about me because we want to hear about our panel members. So I'm delighted to introduce you to our 3 panelists today. So we've got Odunola Olabitan, who's team lead at the Health City and a member of the Ekiti Innovation Network Advisory Board. We've got also Oluwaseyi Ebenezer, the founder of Triple G, Eco Revival Solutions, and also a member of the Ekiti Innovation Network Advisory Board. And we've also got Obo Henshaw with us, a technical advisor at Science and Innovation West Africa, FCDO. So I'm going to hand over to each of you in turn. And if you'd like to tell us a little bit more about the organization that you represent and what brings you here today. So I'll start with you, Odunola, if you'd like to take over.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Yeah, like you already said, my name is Odunola Olabinto, and I'm team lead at the LTT. The LTT is a social enterprise that provides preventive for adolescents and young people. But beyond that, we also provide first aid services at events. That's a new business we just started, and we are trying to ensure that everybody has first aid knowledge. And I am here today to talk about women in innovation. And it's really a topic that I am passionate about because women in innovation are not talked about enough. When you think innovation, you think man, as it were. So I'm really excited about the conversation that we'll have today with the other panelists and everyone. Yeah, thank you so much.
Great, thank you so much. And in the quick intro we had earlier, you also said that you're in your final year of med school, so a lot on your plate.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Oluwaseyi, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. My name is Oluwaseyi Ebenezer. I work with Triple G, Eco Revival Solutions here in Ekiti State. We are an environmental service company that consults for environmental agencies like Ministry of Environment, NESRIA, which deal with regulations and enforcement, and agencies like NEMA, which deals with disaster risk management. We also have a non-for-profit component to the company, which is Triple Green Environmental Development. This was birthed as from the fact that we discovered that people don't really understand environmental problems we are facing in the States. And so we try and engage stakeholders on environmental policies that will work in the state, and as well as educate future generation on climate change issues in the States. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today, and it's a pleasure to talk about innovation regarding women in innovation. So I look forward to a very engaging conversation.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And glad to have you for this conversation also. So last but not least, Obo, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm happy to. Morning, everyone. My name is Obo Henshaw. I'm an advisor on science, tech, and innovation within the West Africa Research and Innovation Hub. One of our objectives is to develop and amplify UK-Africa science, technology, and innovation partnerships to leverage science, tech, and innovation partnerships for UK development and diplomacy objectives. We're also interested in helping to build markets of the future by supporting science, tech, and innovation, enabling environments, and enabling more equitable partnerships between Africa and the UK, especially on research. So yeah, that's one of the things. And yes, my work has innovation in it. So obviously the topic and the theme for this conversation is very much of interest to me, and I'm happy to be able to contribute to the topic.
Great, thank you so much. And for those who are not aware, so the FCDO is the co-founder of the GAA as well. So just worth noting that. Great, so let's get into it. I'm going to come to you first, Odinola, and I'm going to ask you about what does it mean to you being an innovator? What does that mean, and why is it important that women are represented in innovation? Obo, do you want to answer that? What does it mean to you to, being an innovator, what does that mean? And why is it important to have women represented in innovation?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it's important that we define what innovation is, because people often, I think that innovation is synonymous with invention. So I think someone that has an invention is different from someone that is an innovator, and an innovator is really a creative person that is seeking to build on something that already exists, to find out how it can be improved on, how can you make that better. And so why is it important to have women represented in this space? I think as in many male-dominated fields, women are woefully underrepresented in science and technology. And a key ingredient for innovation is diversity. For you to have gender diversity, for you to have cultural diversity, for you to have diversity in age, in race, because all of these things have been shown to foster creativity and to foster innovation. And I think that men and women have inevitably they have different experiences and backgrounds which shape their approach to problem solving. So challenging each other and collaborating with one another is a key ingredient. And when you have women as innovators, you are really saying that you're giving people something to aspire to, other young women. You're giving them something to aspire to. You're providing them with role models, people that can mentor them, people that can support them. You're also saying that there is nothing wrong with women being in the profession of science, tech, engineering, mathematics. You're saying that all fields, women are accepted in all fields, and it is okay for you to be in those spaces. I think that is why it is important that you have women innovators represented in this space as you would in any other space.
I think you've made so many great points in that answer, and really that idea that we need diversity and inclusion to innovate in the first place, because if we all think the same in one room, we're not going to come up with a new idea, are we? So that's really, really important. Thank you for that. Oluwaseyi, you as an innovator, as a woman innovator, what has been, some of the core challenges, and how have you overcome them along your journey?
Thank you so much, Celine. As a woman innovator, I think my major challenge is people not believing in me because I'm a woman. I want to cite an example. So when we registered to be a consultant to Nigeria Environmental Regulation Enforcement Agency, NESREA, we had to go for an interview. So when I went for the interview, our project manager was not available, so I needed to go. When I got there, in the room, I was the only woman for the interview. So when I was called upon and I entered the interview room, there were a lot of men ready to interview. So seeing me as a woman, they kind of relaxed. They didn't want to ask me the question that ordinarily they were supposed to ask. And I had to tell them that, okay, yes, I know you are expecting a man for this interview, but I'm the founder of the company, and I think I'm the right person to ask questions. And the men were like, no, it's not like that, but I could see on their faces. So I think one of the problems as a woman innovator is people not believing in us, people not believing in what we have to say or what we want to bring to the table. And it's a cultural thing, it's a stereotype thing that we have to continually prove ourselves over and over. And most times it's very, very frustrating. So what I do normally to overcome this challenge is to continually tell myself that, yes, I'm capable. If I don't have anything to offer, I won't be on the table. And whenever I'm on the table, I will raise my voice, I will talk, and make them understand that, yes, that is my right place and I have something to offer you. So that's one of the challenges I face in the space.
Wow, I love your story. I have goosebumps. I'm right there with you in the room going like, of course you should be at the table and talking, and it's your business. And yeah, I can relate to that, a lot of that as well. So thank you so much for sharing. Odunola, I hope your internet is working. I would love to ask you also about maybe a challenge that you faced, similar or different. And also in that question, how can the media who are, is here today, how can they help us with some of these challenges that women are facing in innovation?
Fantastic. So one of the challenges that I face as a woman in innovation is that a lot of people expect that women should take supporting roles in the work that they do, especially when it comes to innovation. First off, people don't associate innovation with women. So when you're even talking about there's a social enterprise you're running and they're like, oh, are you the co-founder or the founder? Or are you taking a more supportive role? And then they go, there's a passive questioning of your intelligence and your capacity to actually handle the work that you're doing, and you're like, are you up to the task? And they keep testing you at every turn to make sure that you're actually capable of the work that you actually started. So yeah, a lot of people don't associate innovation with being a woman. They believe that women should take less intellectually challenging roles, perhaps, as it were. So as a woman, I think the woman innovation, I think the media has a huge role to play in representing us well. In the beginning of the call, Adishola was talking about how the Business Day did the spread of the cover of the magazine, and out of the 6 innovators, 5 women. I mean, out of all the women innovators in the country, that is underrepresentation. The media has a lot of role to play in the sense that beyond print and TV media, we also talk about even movies, music. Women are represented not as innovators, but as maybe less subservient roles. I'm a medical student, and it is so weird that I would be on the ward with my classmates who are all wearing the same lab coat, and people find it easy to call me a nurse rather than to call me a doctor. They refer to my male counterpart as doctors and the rest of us as nurses. And we're all doctors wearing the same clothes. So that just goes to show like what media representation is and can do. Like the way we represent women is that she's a supporter, she's not the leader, she's the one in the supportive role. So the media can showcase more women innovation, and it is important, like you said, because our younger girls need role models. I caught the tail end of Oba's talk when she was talking about women in STEM, right? Women need to recognize, young girls especially need to recognize that there are no roles that are reserved only for men. Innovation is not, women can innovate, women can create, women can lead change, women can take leadership. This Women's History Month to showcase women that have previously innovated and women that are currently innovating, so we can set the pace. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. The media has a huge role to play in terms of how we talk about innovation, how we talk about women's contribution to innovation, and encourage the future generation as well of women to aspire to take on a big role in that space. Completely agree. And I would even extend that to say that the men have a huge role to play in terms of being allies and supporting this cause towards equality as well. So I'm going to turn to you, Obo, now. And there's another challenge for women in innovation. It's around funding. For example, in the UK, I will take the example of the UK because I'm a little more familiar. We know that venture capital funding, only 1% of the pot of money goes towards women innovators. So what what more can we do? Women, men, the media, what more can we do in that space so that more women are supported through funding for their innovation? Obo.
Yeah, thank you. So I think that there are a lot of things that need to come together for people for startups or founders, be it female or male alike, for them to be ready for funding opportunities. So you have accelerator programs, you have incubation programs, you have some of all this, different activities that are being geared towards ensuring that people and women as well are ready and ripe for funding opportunities when they do arrive. Sometimes you find that there is a mismatch. So sometimes you have funders or angel investors that are looking for people to fund, but then they find out that the people that they want to invest in are not investment ready. And so my challenge back would be to take as much advantage of opportunities that already exist for you to learn what it is that investors are looking for, to make sure that you're a fit and to make sure that you're ready when the opportunities present themselves, that you're then able to tap into this opportunity. But in terms of what our funding and the programs that we do is helping to achieve, one of the things that we're supporting is hub upskilling program, because we realize that hubs are very important intermediaries that support innovators, that support ideators, and so we're trying to make sure that that the hubs are that they are updating the services and the design of the programs that they are giving to people that come through their spaces, because they are one of the places, the ready places that people go to in their communities to access resources, to access information. Sometimes I think an additional thing that can be done is to make sure that we're intentional in supporting women innovators, in supporting women entrepreneurs. We're intentional in seeking them out, in finding them, because they do exist. And you began to see that there are even funds that exist solely for the purpose of supporting just women. There are more and more people, but then we agree that there's a long way for us to go, and that there is more concerted effort that is needed in supporting women. But while we're working towards getting there, we want to make sure that women themselves are ready, that they're equipped, and that they are taking advantage of opportunities that exist, so that when the opportunities do come, it is not a case of, oh, we can't find the right women. It is that there are as many women as you're looking for. They are skilled, they're ready, and you can put your money and you can invest in them.
Yes, brilliant. So many different elements in there as well, because it's not, the question came through the chat, and it was really, what can women do? But I think your answer really helps to put it in context. It's not just about, women need to work for women to have more women. No, it's about how we work together as a community in innovation to increase equality and that equal access to opportunities. Oluwaseyi, I'd love to come back to you. You talked earlier about a main challenge that you faced. What about a main success, and who was there? What happened? What did you do? How did you celebrate? And how can the media help in the celebration of women's stories, including your own?
Thank you, Celine. What a success is kind of funny. I'm going to tell the story of a young girl that I met during the course of one of the projects that we just launched out. So this year we want to focus on schools, to go into schools and educate them on climate change, because we believe that these are the future generation and they need to understand the problem for them to be able to come up with innovative solutions to the problem. So one of the schools that we went to, after the old program, a young girl walked up to me and handed me a book, the book that she was jotting on. She handed it to me and said, please, can you sign it for me, like an autograph? And I'm like, okay. So I signed it, I put my name and the date. And she said, I'm going to keep this forever. I'm not going to lose it. And for me, that really goes to my heart. I hugged her and I told the photographer to take a picture. And I told her, I'm going to keep this picture forever. I'm not going to lose touch with you because I want to follow you up on what innovation or innovative idea you're going to come up with as a lady, as a young girl when you grow up. And she was so excited, she was so happy. And that for me is success. So coming to the question, while I was growing up, it was difficult for me to see a woman in the role of leadership, in the role of what I want to become when I grow up. And so we resort to all the spaces are filled with men. So we just assume that it's men role, it's men duty. And that was the way we grew up with. So for me, as a young woman, I want to make sure that all these young girls see me as a role model, see me as someone they can imitate when they grow up. And so I think if we have more women in this space, it's really send a message, not only for us doing wonderful thing in the community, but for these young girls to see that they can become whatever they want to be. They can come up with any innovative idea, and that it's not like a box that, oh, this is men's world, this is what men can do. As a female, I can't do that. So that for me is one of the success stories that I love to share anywhere I go. Thank you.
Oh, I love that. I really hope that she still has that page and she's still looking at it. That is brilliant. And yes, it really shows the importance of role modeling. You cannot be what you cannot see. And if you can see, then you can be. So you can flip it on its head as well. Odinola, did that resonate with you? Do you have a story you want to share around that, having a role model or being a role model?
Well, it resonates with me. I have quite a number of women that I look up to, mostly from afar, right? But I see their work and it resonates. One of them is Temite of Life Bank. Life Bank is a social enterprise that ensures that people have blood products available to them. Now, I got familiar with her work, I think in 2017, but and I've been following the progress of the social enterprise since then. I mean, she's a model to me because I see that not only did she start the enterprise, she has been able to grow it to an extent that it is still surviving till now, and that they have impacted millions of lives. So for me, I've always loved social enterprises. I believe that you can do a business while making money, but impacting lives, right? So for me to see a woman that is doing that excellently well and also touching millions of lives as a medical student, I know how important blood products are and how scarce they can be. But to see that someone is solving that problem, making money, and I mean, a woman that has a family and has all of it challenges me and says that, oh, I can actually do that. I can have it all. So I'm a medical student. I'm running my social enterprise, and I'm hoping that in the future I'll be able to add a family and other things that I want to do. It just tells me that I can be all that I want to be. So yeah. So
100%. And I think I would even say you are everything that you want to be. And we can definitely see that today. There's a question in the Q&A. I'm going to ask you, Obo, but if anyone else wants to jump in, also feel free. From Hussein, in the case of Nigeria, where women were not given opportunity towards decision-making and policy-making, what is the way out for them to be fully involved? I think what is the way for women to be fully involved in policy-making?
Yeah, so I think like with anything at all, you would have to be intentional about it. You would hear there's this popular saying that if they do not invite you to the table, then you need to create your own table. You need to be able to find like-minded people like yourself. You need to find women that are interested in policy making like yourself. You need to find issues that at their core are addressing challenges, everyday challenges that people understand. And then you need to create a groundswell of supporters, of people that believe in your cause. You need to be a voice. You need to be able to advocate. You need to be able to articulate what it is that you want to say. If you find someone that you think can mentor you, that can advise you, that can guide you. But I want to just say that the onus is on women to play an active role in solving that particular problem. And then I'll give an example of a female-led organization that came during so we had an incident in Nigeria called NSAS, where people were protesting against police brutality. And there's a female group called Feminist Coalition that came up and they were at the forefront of advocating for this. They were receiving monies and that were used in providing food, providing bill assistance, healthcare. And this was a group of young women, I believe about 13 of them, that came together because they wanted to contribute. They wanted to be a part of the change that they were seeking to see. And so the way out, I would dare say, is for women to create those opportunities, for women to make sure that there are voices for other women, and that they are actively engaging, participating in the process that allows them to make policies that will change their lives and the lives of others. I think it is not enough for you to be, and I know that everybody can't be at the forefront. Everyone can't be making those changes. But then if you find those organizations, or if you find women that are doing those things, how can you support them? How can you amplify the work that they are doing? How can you add your voice, to their own voice to make sure that we're continually heard on the issues and subjects that affect us?
Very good, thank you. It's true. If one person, one voice is very, easy to, I suppose, ignore in a way. But if we join forces towards a common vision and a common goal, that is really, really powerful. Thank you for sharing. We've had another question come through from Uzoma, and I'll come to you, Oluwaseyi, with this one. But again, if anyone wants to add anything, feel free. It's about women themselves who carry the stereotypes of what women can't do or not meant to be doing. How do we influence the women who hold and, share these stereotypes?
Yes, thank you, Celine. For me, I like to talk through my story, because for me to get to this point, it wasn't an easy field for me. I didn't have anybody to mentor me in the environmental space. Like I said earlier, I'm a lawyer. I have a law background, and when I wanted to launch out my environmental services company, all my law colleagues, my law colleagues were looking at me like, what exactly are you doing? What benefit? You're a lawyer, so what are you doing? And so at that point, I was very confused, but I was convinced inside that I just needed to find a solution to this environmental problem we are facing in my community. And when I started, they looked at me as if I was crazy. I don't know what I was doing, but I continually developed myself. I attended seminars, do short courses on the course, because I know by the time I start, I have to be an authority in that. I need to be able to explain what I'm doing. I need to be able to have a voice in that space. So for women, we need to continually develop ourselves. It's not enough that, oh, they didn't give women a voice. Oh, we are not on the table. What exactly are you bringing to the table? You need to prove yourself that I am capable of bringing something to the table. And with that, other women will see your example and follow suit and develop themselves. And so it will go on and on like that. So for me, we need to, it's not enough for us to raise our voice. It's not enough to clamor that way. They didn't give us an opportunity. We need to be intentional. We need to develop ourselves. We need to continually develop ourselves. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that really resonates. I think it makes me think about this idea of don't tell them, show them. Sometimes if people doubt your abilities or doubt what you can do, you can sit there and try to argue, or defend yourself, but it's not really going to work. just go out there and show them and do it and be the voice and be the change. And then they will start thinking, women can do that. And that will challenge their perspective. Wow, time is running really fast. I'm going to ask one last question to you, Odunola. It's from Leslie in the Q&A. So it's asking you about, don't we think that women are their worst enemies? And it's really touching on the idea of confidence, that a lot of the time women, maybe get told like slide remarks, like wait and see, soon they're going to start to fight with each other, and the group of women will dissolve and things like that. And that obviously is affecting the confidence and the cooperation of women. So what can we do around that, around building confidence? And I suppose also I'm going to expand the question, building sisterhood and community.
Okay, thank you so much, Celine. I'll first like to say that I do not believe in that statement that women are their own worst enemies. I think it is a propaganda, and we should intentionally kill that statement, right? Because there are no groups or coalitions of people that do not have fighting in between, like arguments. Everybody you can have even 5 people together and they would all agree at every point on the same thing, right? It's just that as women leaders, we're just coming to the forefront now, and then there are more women coalitions and all that. So when you see them say, oh, okay, we've given them power now, and then they are fighting, right? Nobody talks about the fact that men organizations are also there, even with political parties that are mostly dominated by men. You see people deflecting to one other political party, fighting with them themselves. And I mean, I think it's normal, right? That people, if they're together, they can have arguments. Women are not their own worst enemies, as it were. What I would say that we can do is to be should I say more forgiving, or not have that expectations of each other. I like the fact that Obo mentioned feminist coalition. Now, FemCo led and were leaders in the NTS protests, and as of now, they're still standing. And I'm sure it's not because they've all not had arguments, as it's just that they would sort it, as it were. And if it eventually happens that there was a coalition of women and they could not agree on a topic, and then they went their separate ways, it's just because that's what we have, humans, they went their separate ways. Like I said, even when groups break up, expectation of women that once they got these, but I think as women too, we have a role to play in also changing this narrative. We should be more supportive of each other's work and ideas, and then we should also show support to other women leaders upbringing. Women are not naturally raised in their families to be leaders. So even as a woman, if you see your fellow woman contesting, you may be like who's sponsoring her? What does she think she can do? And I think at the family level, at the baser level, we have a lot to do, even with media, to change that narrative. And with that, and I like what Barrister Sheyi also said, that women also have to set examples for other women. Now, when I first started my journey into entrepreneurship, even my mother was like, who sent you to work? And that means that who gave you the work? Why are you doing what you're doing? What I sent you to do is to go to school and just become a doctor, right? So she didn't understand it at business. I win awards, I call her and say, oh, I just won an award. And she's like, fantastic. That's amazing. Now she's my number one fan. And I believe that that's something that other women will also be able to aspire to, that once they see systems that work and women that are doing well in their own fields, we can collectively change that narrative. It won't change overnight, of course, but gradually, step by step, we can change that narrative. Thank you.
Thank you. I love how passionate you got about this, and I totally agree. I really loved your answer about challenging the question before even answering elements of that question, because it's absolutely true that we are a group of women, and we're also bigger, you know, above and beyond that, we're a group of humans, and we're here, you know, to talk about how can we make our societies and our communities more equal and equitable, and we need everyone to come together in that conversation, and women included, and women helping each other as well along that journey towards gender equality. So thank you very much for that. Thank you to our three panelists very much. I really enjoyed this conversation. To be honest, I could talk for another hour with you. I think we still have a lot to cover, but hopefully this is, you know, just the beginning of a longer conversation with everyone here today about how we can continue to increase diversity and inclusion in innovation. And I'm gonna now ask Sophie, actually, if this is the case, can you tell us more about, you know, what are the plans for Innovate UK KTN in terms of bringing this diversity and inclusion conversation as part of the Global Alliance Africa programs, and what relationship do you see the media play into that in the future?
And thank you, panelists. It's been incredible to hear. And as you say, I could listen for hours. I think I take home 2 key points and 2 key messages from the last hour. One is the word intentional, and we really have to be intentional. And I think Obo's comment really resonates about we need to now create our own table and bring people to that table. So what we will do as Innovate UK KTN through the Global Alliance Africa project is build that table with you through our global networks and allow people to come to the table. We have a very strong EDI framework, both as Innovate UK KTN, but as the project as well, in which we ensure we intentionally embed EDI in all of our project activities. So from the innovation exchange challenges to ensuring that we've got 50-50 representation on committees and advisory groups. We also draw upon the wider Innovate UK family of programmes, and hence why it was really important that we brought Rachel into this session to learn more about the incredible work of Innovate UK and the programmes that to ensure the intentional support to women entrepreneurs and innovators. And of course, I think by doing activities such as today, this, as I said, is the first in a wide series of media engagement, and it allows us to bring you as media to the table as well, to really support us through the messaging and ensuring that actually the voices of innovators in Nigeria, but as well as Kenya and South Africa, are really heard. And I'd like to hope that this is the start of a really positive relationship with the media in Nigeria about how we can all support one another to ensure that the messages are correct and the voices are heard. And we change that vision on that magazine or the newspaper front cover, and we ensure that we get at least 3 female innovators sitting on that front page. So yeah, very much let's go from here, let's build that table together, and let's see how we can work as a global network as well to ensure equality, diversity and inclusion in all of our activities we do. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you very much, Sophie. Thank you very much, everyone. Just before we round up, we know we've gone slightly beyond our time. I would like to just quickly mention 2 particular incidences that I think the media might want to also note. When I started running my business, one of the things we were doing for a DFID funded project was training journalists in Lagos. And I had reasons to go train journalists, about 50 of them, in a radio station that had 3 radio stations with 1 ownership. And once I walk into the room, all the men would leave, and then you would see their bosses come in and try to get them back in. First experience. Another experience was another radio station in Kano, and I remember my first meeting with them. They looked at me, and I remember the head of the station saying, "Don't look at her age, don't look at her sex, look at what you can, her gender, look at what you can gain from her." Went on to train, and eventually Radio Deutsche Welle from Germany came and took about 3 of the people that we trained. And today, these are people that are doing so well within the Hausa space. at Radio Deutsche in Germany. Now, why did I share this story? I'm very, very conscious of the fact that so many of the journalists on this platform today have one question: how can I do much more? I've seen so many of my colleagues doing unique things, and I also want to do more. Trust me, this is the first conversation with Innovate KTN, and this conversation is certainly going to continue. And if you have questions, because I have had a couple of people reach out to me to interview the team, those you've spoken to today, please do not hesitate to reach out to me bilaterally, and then we'll make sure we make this happen. One of the things we would like to do as call to action before we let you go are 3 angles. The first one is we would want you to create more spaces. We know we have some of the media houses that are making some effort, from some of the programs on NCA, some of the programs, Punch News, have a dedicated space. And, but we know we still need to do more. And that's why we'd want you to create this space, go back and think about it, and then we can have this conversation during other meetings. And then we want you to break the bias in reporting around women in business and innovation. There's so many of them that I can find on Twitter. There's so many of them that I can reach out to on Facebook, on Instagram, just by inboxing them. If they don't respond, there are so many ways of reaching out to sources that can help to reach out to these women. And finally, spotlighting the work of innovation networks, locally and with Nigerians in diaspora. There's so many stories out there that we can tell, and unless the media tells this story, unless we take some of these issues around women and innovation to the court of public opinion, trust me, we will just continue to talk about this within our closets, and then actions, policies, nothing is going to change. So that's why we're calling on to you to take this action. One thing we will do is, like I mentioned, and I'm emphasizing it again, is that this is the first step, and this conversation will continue. We will be reaching out to you, and we'll see how this whole first dialogue will be taken forward to the next step. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. I wouldn't know if Tara or Sophie wants to add anything before I finally close the meeting. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. And thank you very much for your patience. We're 8 minutes beyond the time we had promised you that we'd close. And hope to see you next time. Have a great one, everyone. Bye-bye.